And I'll tell you that today our presenter is Brandon Giles of LB Collaborations. Brandon has been a very active volunteer with Oregon Pride in Business, working with me for almost 2 years now. I can tell you he's been an incredibly valuable and fun and compassionate thought partner for us. And I'm really delighted that he's here to help us make sense of all our good ideas. Thank you, Brandon. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Janine, and thank you everybody for being here. As Janine mentioned, my name is Brandon Giles. I'll give a little better introduction of myself in a moment, but I wanted to make sure everybody was able to get themselves renamed. I see some names re-upped, and then also the Miro board. There's a link in the meeting chat, and on that Miro board is going to be where we do a lot of our playing today, a lot of our activities. I see a few folks joining in there. And if anybody has any problems, you shouldn't have to sign up for anything. You should be able to join as a guest without any signing up or any extra steps. Well, while that is going, let me give a little introduction of myself. Let's scoot over here and resume that slideshow. I am going to go to the slide. So my name is Brandon Giles, as Janine mentioned. My business is LB Collaborations. L is Lacey. Lacey is my business partner. She's a project manager. But my focus of the business is on collaboration facilitation. I help different sizes and types of teams to guide conversations, to figure out what they want to do, how to accomplish that, and then really building some of the plans to get those across the finish line. A lot of the focus is on human-centered thinking and inclusive thinking, making sure that everybody who has a voice is able to share that voice in the room. A lot of the focus that I have is on helping bridge the gap between neurodivergent and neurotypical folks in those conversations. And the two sides of my business focus on facilitation, where it's a group of people that are needing to accomplish a goal and working together, or coaching is when it's a small business owner or more one-on-one or working with a leader who's already leading the team and is at the head of that already. Today, we're kind of bridging the divide between those and focusing something that I usually focus in a coaching session, but because we have a group of people here today, I thought it'd be most interesting to show it as if it were a group of people going through it. But before we get into that, I would love to make sure that folks are getting comfortable in Miro and are able to get in and do some things. So I'm going to go over back to this slide. If you are in Miro, I'll just stop this and make sure I bring everybody to me. I'm going to bring everyone to me, and that will bring you to this screen right here. And let's get everybody used to using Miro. If you're just on your phone or if you're following along visually, don't worry about it too awful much. But if you are actively participating, I would love to have folks filling in some of these things. So over on the side here, you can click this button and it'll give you different sticky notes. You can pick a color, drag it over to the screen, and I'm going to type my name as Brandon, being step number 2 or 3 rather. Somewhere in here, 2. Step 3 is going to make it a color unique to me. I've already chosen a color unique to me. You know what? I'll go even more different than the 2 that are already here. Everybody's got a thing. And then if you double click, this is going to be the fun big trick that you're going to be able to use throughout the day. If you double click on yours and you get it to where you can still be typing and you hit tab, it'll create a new sticky note in your same color. And you don't have to go back to that button and do a new one. So in this new sticky that is your color, I want you to answer this question. What is your big business idea for 2025? If you are not in the Miro board, feel free to use the chat or come on your mic and let us know what your big business idea is for 2025. And we're going to use that to get to know each other a little bit. but we'll wait about a minute for this, give folks a chance. I see some new faces. If you are just joining us, there is a link. I will actually copy it again just to make sure that it is repeated, but there's a link to a Miro board in here. And in here, we're going to be using this to track ourselves. And also, if you want to get some practice on writing your names, we will know who we're talking to here. All right, so I will go ahead and start. This is a chance, whenever I do facilitation like this, I feel like it's important for everybody to know a little bit of everybody. So I am going to ask for us to wait 1 second before we go completely into hibernation mode and turn all of our cameras off, and see if we can do a few introductions of who's in the room and what kind of business ideas we have for ourselves coming up. I will start again. I'm Brandon. LB Collaborations is my business, and a lot of what I find it hard to do is making it easy for people to know what I do. And so through a couple different strategies, I'm focusing this year on just making it easier to know what it is that I do. Does anybody else want to share their big idea for 2025? Looks like get some licensing, build out a prototype, design a simpler payroll reporting experience. I like Janine's do less and better. These are some really good big business ideas. Some of them are small and concise. I won't say it's small necessarily, building a prototype or getting a license, but those are some pretty specific things. But then do less and better, make it easier to know what to do. Those are things that are a little bit more vague and not necessarily as intuitive in terms of how to execute those things. And so one of the things I want to talk about today is how to take all of the different ideas that we have as business owners and people in this world and just try to make some sense of them. I talk a lot. Oh, for our agenda today, I'm going to lay the groundwork. I'm going to talk for a few minutes about what it is that I do and what the exercises we're going to go through today are meant to accomplish. And then the three activities, we're going to check our backpacks, we're going to compare our gear to each other, and then we're going to chart a course to make sure that we're all going on the same path together. We'll then follow up with a little bit of Q&A at the end. But the goal of today is to teach some activities and exercises to make it easier for you to be more confident and the best business owner that you can be, making decisions that you are comfortable with as you go. I see a big idea is to bring more regular online sales. That's another one. These are all really great things. And that brings me to the first concession I'm going to request of everyone today. Typically, when we're going through this as a team, the team is aligned and we're all working towards the same thing. Today, we're going to have to be a little bit wishy-washy with that. Each of us have slightly different business goals because we have completely different businesses. So a lot of the decisions that we're going to would get to in a regular meeting, we're not going to get to real decisions. We're just playing around today. When I am leading this session typically, and the way I do this in the 60-minute series and as a one-on-one, I call them the balloon sessions, because for me, I like to think of it that we have so many ideas bouncing around in our heads, and these are probably helium-filled balloons, so they're probably like on the ceiling and just out of reach, and that's not a feasible place to do anything, to make any decisions or build a business from. As business people, we have our brains going in a bunch of different directions, and so it may take a few different activities and exercises to make sense of those balloons. So what I do is I help people bring in reel a string and tie strings to each of those balloons, and then pull them down one by one and figure out what they are and put a big marker on them and say, like, label each of the balloons. And then we can organize the balloons around the room and tie some of them together, realize that some of the balloons can probably be popped and get out of the picture. We don't need all of the balloons. And then ultimately look at the path of what's coming ahead and move some of those balloons and place them at different spots down the line, so that once you're there, you've got the focus right in front of you of what matters today. You don't have all these balloons bouncing around. Half of them are down the road. The ones you need are right beside you to take care of. When we're doing activities like this, I like to talk about things in mountains. And we're going over each of these mountains together, working from our problem all the way over to our action or our solution. Along the way, we might have an idea and we might then build a prototype of that idea. But generally speaking, we're working in this structure of discussing things and then deciding things. Mixing those two conversations, whether it's a one-on-one, you're doing it just yourself, or it's you working with your teams, mixing discussion and decisions can make it for a really frustrating experience. Who's been in a conversation where a decision has been made that for whatever reason was still part of the discussion next meeting or next time it came around, or other way around, the discussion just started, everybody picks the first idea, and then that maybe wasn't the best idea, and so it didn't really execute the way that it was intended. Keeping those separate is important, but it takes some intentionality. There are some rules that we are going to keep in mind today that help us keep these two things separate and moving forward. So I mentioned that when we're on the discussion side, we want to avoid the early decisions because we don't have all of our information yet. The deciding is when you come down the mountain. I like to think about I'm climbing up the mountain on this side. And if I make a decision, the only way to actually go down the mountain is just back behind us. We're not actually going forward to the other side yet. And we also want to reserve judgments, especially in this setting today. Some of us are going to have really active ideas that have nothing to do with my business, and my ideas may have nothing to do with your business, but it's a really good thing for them. So reserving our judgments about what other people's ideas might mean is important for the discussion phase. The other part is avoiding safe ideas. When we brainstorm, when we come up with what could be possible, the biggest idea that we say may not be the direction we go, but it may remind us of something else similar or give us a bunch of small steps underneath that could help get us to that big thing. Then the other side, once we're in the decision phase, we want to avoid more discussion. We don't want to keep that discussion going. I put asterisks on both of those because there's going to be situations that it needs to continue a little, but we want to make sure that we're doing it appropriately and not overusing those two. We also want to avoid biased voting. In this setting, again, we're not going to be trying to solve the world with the problems, the solutions that we get to at the end of our time together. But in a group setting, when you're working with a different team or you're trying to come up with what's good for you, sometimes just picking the easiest or what you've always done before or what might be the quickest solution isn't going to be the best. And so that's the kind of biased voting we want to avoid. And in group thinking, again, one-on-one, it's not a huge big deal, but anytime you're in a group setting, the loudest voice is usually the one that gets heard the most. And so if someone comes up with a good idea or the leader says something, you want to avoid just going along with it. Today, as I mentioned, we're going to be using this mountain theme in a group setting. And in a group setting, I like to think of these as trailhead meetings. Now, very important caveat, before a group comes to this meeting and before I have this conversation with a leader or a business owner one-on-one, you got to know where you want to be. So there is a vision setting activity and exercise that I do with people before this to make sure that we're going in to answer a precise, clear question, to make not just like throwing spaghetti at the wall. We want to have a purpose. Today, we're thinking of our purpose as growing our business, and I'm kind of leaving that relatively vague. But that is an important thing to note, that this is a meeting at a trailhead for us. I figured with the Pacific Northwest, we could use a little outdoor theme. So we are meeting at this trailhead. I have decided that we are meeting at XYZ trailhead, and everybody has shown up. There are 3 things we need to do before we hit the trails. First, we need to check our packs. We need to make sure that we have the things that we want to have with us. What does that mean? That means that we are sorry, that means that we are getting our ideas out of our head. Sometimes we may need to dig a little bit deeper, be reminded of that pocket that exists, but the goal of the checking our packs is to get everything out of our head and onto the screen, on paper, something. There's a big difference between having the ideas and writing them down, and it makes it a lot easier once they're all written down, especially when we're sharing them and going to do the next step where we're comparing our gear. The goal of this one is to understand each other. Sometimes it's through asking more questions, sometimes it's showing the things that we have, but all of this is about understanding what the other people are bringing to the experience today, so that when we're on the hike itself, we're able to take care of each other and understand the best. And then finally, we want to make sure that we're charting our course appropriately. We want to determine where we're going and what matters at what point. Like, if there's a water source halfway down the hike, then that tells us that we can bring that smaller water bottle and leave the bigger one in the car, because we can go fill up in the stream or take our filter. Or if it's a rainy day, maybe it's a matter of we need to bring these shoes or those other shoes, but really looking and saying that this is the thing that's going to matter at that point in the hike. Right now, this is the thing that matters. That's the goal of this, to really chart out the course and get the things that matter out of our matter today into our focus, and the things that matter later out of our focus for today. Why is this hard to do alone? I mentioned the balloon exercise. I mentioned this exercise. I, as a business owner myself, struggle with making decisions sometimes, because so much of it is in our head. We have distractions. We are pulled in a million different directions. More and more, a lot of the folks setting out are neurodivergent in some way, and we're operating in a world that is built for other people. Also, when we're working on our own, there's a lack of accountability. We don't get to hear other people's perspective. A lot of my job providing collaboration for people is just asking questions. I'm a very curious person, and it helps, but it also helps people see things from a slightly different perspective. And so anytime you're able to do these exercises with someone else, it's going to be especially helpful. So before we jump in, I would love to open the conversation a little bit and ask folks for a little more understanding of how they are tackling their complex ideas today. Is there anything that anybody is currently doing, or any struggles that people experience when they're trying to untangle their big ideas?
I would say for me, it's that the fact that there are so many, or at least a few good ones, it's hard to figure out how to prioritize where to put energy. Like you can obviously put all of your energy towards 20 ideas at once, but you won't get very far down the path on any of them. So
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a big roadblock. Thank you, Cam. Kate. Brain dumping all the thoughts into a document and then hoping it turns into a plan. I mean, AI is getting pretty active at stuff. I may not want to execute that plan, but yeah, getting it out of the head is huge.
I also struggle with choosing one or two things to focus on and chasing them out because it feels like everything is, if not an emergency, a priority.
Mhm. Yeah, these are all really common roadblocks, and things that I hope through our exercises today, we can come up with some exercises to help make it a little bit easier for folks. So our first exercise, I have moved the share button. I've lost the share button. There we go. All right, so our first exercise today is going to be about getting ideas out of our head and onto this screen. So this is an activity that I do with people when it's typically a brainstorming. But in this activity, I want us to just really think about what it is that we are doing for our business today. Not necessarily going to come up with big, huge new business plans or anything, but what are the things that we can do for our business in this year to improve it? I realize that I need to bring everybody. Is that the right button? No. I need to bring everybody to me in the Miro board. We're going to go back to the Miro board. Again, if you want to use the chat, you are able to use the chat and I can type them in. But our goal is to put a bunch of stickies on this board. As soon as there we go, am able to bring everybody to me. There we go. All right. So, yeah, we're just getting our ideas out. Apologize. We now can answer this first question as a guardrail. What are some things that need to get done this year to improve your business? You can pull over your sticky. I'm just going to make mine a little smaller so we're not in the way. But whether it be in the chat box, I think I see one over there. Oh, another link. Thank you, Janine. For the sake of ourselves today, I'm going to set us a timer. Update. Checking in with the chat. What are the things that need to be done to improve your business this year? Out over there. Oop, that me? Alrighty. These are a lot of good thoughts already. Does anybody want to come off mute and mention any of the things that they need to get done before we move on to our next one? I see some really good ones. Feedback from folks, better cohesion on the team. Looks like a couple of us have updates on our websites to do. Figure out how to ask for money better. Sweet. All right. So there's more that we need to do for our business. Oops, I see. I will get that in there as well. The next minute, I want us to go a little bit more fun. What are the things that you want to do over the next year to improve your business? And there's no real need for anything to be in any particular row. They're all going to get mixed up. Volunteer appreciation. Finding a graphic designer, that'd be great. Develop the team. Grow the team. Travel further and sell in different cities. That's a great one, Mackenzie. Oops. It's a giant one. Make candles. Honestly, there's lots of fun things we can do. Okay, our next one. So again, brainstorming, we may try to make big things happen, but we can use some of those brainstorming prompts to help remind us of some of those things that we want to do for our business anyway. What are the big ideas that could help improve your business this next year? Think biggest. When I'm doing this with a group of people, some of the things we might say are, it has to use magic, or it has to cost $1 million, or it would be a plot line in a fantasy novel. What are the big crazy things that could help improve business? Becoming more well known. It's in the vein of, I was putting online content because I just assumed that's what that would be done, but becoming more well-known, teleport through the state for in-person meetings. Look, see, I like that. Get a partnership, applying AI sentiment analysis across the products, even a big idea of hosting events. Okay, so we're going to do another. Oh, we have another one. Make enough money to move into a studio. Oh, you know what? While I'm saying things out loud, I want to go back to the one that Genevieve shared of give as much follow through to my own business as I do to client businesses. I thought that was a really great line, and I am absolutely going to take that one into my year moving ahead. Okay, so our last one of just getting all of our ideas out of our head. What are the smallest ideas? What are the babyest steps that could be the teensiest, tiniest things that you could do to improve your business this year? Ooh, got some quick ones coming up. Take care of energy. Focus on building relationships without being driven by the business or collaboration or working together. Breaking down tasks, rest more and recharge that creative engine. Small updates to the website. Lots of great stuff here. Okay. Now, we are not running one single business. That is obviously we know that. But I imagine that some of these ideas might apply to you and your business as well. So I'm just going to zoom in and give us 30 seconds. Look over these, think a little bit of these, come off mute, ask some questions about these. Is there anything that you want to understand more, that you want to learn more about? All right, well, one thing that I want to call out here is the idea of a big thing being able to link into smaller things. So I'm going to use this example here of teleporting throughout the state for in-person meetings. Quick quiz. What part of this is physically impossible? We're not going to teleport anywhere. What part of it is maybe kind of possible? Maybe some in-person meetings, but let's go one step further. Like meetings are possible. So like if there's a goal to meet with people all across the state, no, you can't teleport. No, you can't get to all of them in person, but make that an important thing. It's a big thing, but make that a thing. And you can find the ways that you can shave off the impossible parts to find the meat that's actually there. And I think this is a great example of one of those ideas. So thank you, Green Sticky. Okay, so I am going to shift my plan for how to move forward because the way I wanted us to discuss these, I was going to ask us to do a vote on our 3 least favorite ideas, the things that we do not want to focus on for a business, and see what kind of conversation that drummed up. But we have so many ideas here that we actually need to pare them down a little bit before we can move on to the next activity. So I am going to create a voting session real quick. and get just the stickies. And everybody's going to get 3 votes, and I'm going to give us 2 minutes because there's still some going through the details of the stickies and figuring things out. But I want folks to vote for the stickies that you think could move forward and benefit your business. And then from those, we're going to hope to get around 12 total. We're going to do, I think actually 2 different people brought it up as a complex thing that makes it hard to make some decisions. We're going to do an activity where we compare the impact of these items on our business versus the effort that it will take to do them to help get our priorities a little bit more in line. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts before we go into a voting session here? I actually think we have the same number of people. Everybody's in the Miro board, so there's no need to even worry too much about the chat box voting. All right, so I'm going to start this voting session as soon as I remember which the button is. Find do. All the votes are anonymous except for mine because mine are on the screen and you can see what I'm doing. And just for fun, I am going to give us a little, we're going to do up-tempo funk. Just a note, if that music is annoying to you, there is a little button right here on the clock that you can click and it will turn the sound on and off.
Brandon, I'm not sure how to cast my vote.
If you are entered into the vote and you have this little screen up on the side, you should be able to just click on the sticky and it'll add a 1. I think I set it so you could technically put all of your votes on 1 if you wanted to.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Perfect.
There's little plus signs that I failed to notice the first time. I was overwhelmed with all these good ideas coming at me.
I'm so sorry. Can you repeat what we're voting for again? I'm very annoying.
No worries. We are voting for, pause that music. We are voting for what we want to move forward, what we think will be the most impactful for our business moving forward. Again, we're all doing different businesses. I considered having us come up with a fake business that we were all working towards. We were going to make rolls for our bakery. But I actually realized that getting a group of business peers together to share what their ideas are didn't sound like a terrible idea. Build some connections, some networking and collaboration. I'm going to add a little bit of time to our timer because we have some folks still voting. To our voting session, rather. Guess I could vote. That 6 of 7 have voted. 6 of 8 have voted. We're going to go ahead and end the voting as this timer runs out. Again, because we're not trying to change the world. Oh, I'll let you have that one, Maddie. All right, so it is preparing our results. All right, so a comprehensive customer journey mapping and better marketing were the 2 biggest things that individuals decided were going to be worth, oops, I'm going to do it this way, worth moving forward with. So we got better marketing. We've got better cohesion amongst the team. These are all coming out super weird. We've got develop our team. We've got delegate content creation. That is a huge one. Getting feedback, grow the team, use AI, figure out how to ask for money, get licensed, update website. It's probably for the sake of what we are doing. Actually, I'm going to pull this one over because we can all identify with that one. I'm going to trade that one for this one. Okay, so I want to first figure out why on earth these are dozens of different sizes. Can I, real quick? Shrink them down a smidge. Cool. All right. So this is where we get some group participation again. Oh, oops, I wasn't. Can we repeat one more time? Maddie, you got me there, and then can't figure out how to vote on my phone. No worries. The Miro on the phone is a beautiful benefit when it feels like it's working, but sometimes it feels like it's lagging. It is not too much trouble right now. Sweet. So group participation, we are now going to shift these. We're going to rank these from low impact to high impact. We're going to go knee-jerk reactions. We're not going to all agree on it. This is going to be very basic. But on my screen, I see a camera on and a mic on for Cade. And so Cade, you seem like the most confident person in this moment. If we were going to say that collecting feedback, we're going to vague all of these out. So collecting feedback is a medium impact item. Let's say developing the team. Is that going to have a higher impact than collecting feedback or a lower impact, theoretically?
I think it depends. Are you developing them based on the feedback from your members? If so, then it's probably be a high impact.
Yeah,
Because you'll get better feedback next time around.
I agree. Sweet. And you did hit the nail on the head. The answer to every single question I'm about to ask right now is it depends. But yeah, thanks for trudging through. Maddie, I see your camera on. Do you feel confident with picking the relative impact of delegating content creation? Or let's vague this out. Delegating the things that we know we don't do well ourselves, or that take up too much of our time.
For sure. I would say that's probably solid high impact, but sorry, let me look at the other side. And if you're delegating, that's not high effort. You're delegating, that's low effort.
Yeah.
Unless I'm totally wrong.
No. You're not necessarily wrong, just a little ahead of the game. But focusing just on impact, I do agree that delegating the things that are hard is going to have a really big impact because it just lets other people do the work. Better marketing. Janine, I see your camera on. You do not have to put your camera on necessarily, but if you want to participate in this game, you should take yourself off mute, and that'll be how I know you are want to play. But Janine, better marketing. What's the impact of that, do you think? Where does it fall?
I mean, that's a pretty high impact. I would maybe put it, if effective, is better, right? It's higher than all of
Yeah.
these. Thank you.
Yeah, that tracks for me.
Yeah, great.
Let's say small but meaningful updates to our website. It's my turn. I am going to say that this is probably a little bit higher than the feedback because maybe we're making it from the feedback, but probably not as huge as developing our team. Getting other people again to do things is probably a high one. Now, a reminder of one thing that's not necessarily making this weird, but just a reminder, we do not have our vision. So if the goal is to get more business, maybe the website would be a higher impact. If the goal is to solidify our internal structures, develop our team maybe is the thing that has a higher impact. But for the sake of playing today, we're just improving our business. Cade, how about growing our team? What do you think the impact is of growing the team?
It increases your capacity to do more things. So I think it's pretty high impact.
I agree. And you probably want to grow the team before you have better marketing to get more business as well. So that would have
If you have better marketing and you can't take on clients, it's going to be a problem.
It's a whole different problem. A good problem, I imagine.
Good problem. Yeah.
Maddie, what about resting and recharging? Where do we think that's going to fall in impact?
I'm gonna say high impact.
High. Hi. Yeah, I agree. Kind of paramount to everything else. I see this guy floating up here. How about certification? Janine, what about getting some sort of certification, getting a type of certification?
This is not an area that I know a lot about. I would put that in a mid-impact range.
Higher or lower than delegation?
Higher? Lower?
You said higher first,
Okay.
so it has to be there now.
I'm so committed.
Yeah. Let's see. This one was a top one, so let's make sure we include this, and I think I'll pull these other ones out just for the sake of time. In your sessions that you do, all of your ideas matter, and you should never just blindly pull things out. Do as I say, not as I do. But this comprehensive customer journey mapping. Cade, how are you feeling about its impact? Where do we think this falls?
I think it has the potential to impact both your marketing and the way you develop your team. I feel like it's pretty high impact in that
Mhm.
somewhere mid range there.
Maybe right
Yeah.
in there? Okay.
Yeah. I know you pulled out this one, but I actually think figuring out how to ask people for money is the highest impact and lowest effort thing possible.
Ooh. For the sake of
And,
conversation,
and
we're
it's
popping that
like,
back in there. Yeah.
yeah, I think it's the biggest one on the list.
Anybody feel compelled about the building better cohesion and applying AI? Hmm. All right, we'll leave those out still. All right, thank you for that, Cade. And Maddie, because it is on your turn, it works out perfectly. You were going down the right path, but to keep them so, oh, actually, we're going to get there, Janine. We are definitely going to get there. Let's talk about the effort that's going to go into these. And let's start on the far left side, collecting feedback from members. Do you think this is something that's going to take high effort or low effort? Or
I'd,
then the one next to it, I apologize. Then
oh,
meaning the websites, making changes to the website.
I feel like it's lower effort.
Makes sense to me. Coming back to Genevieve, would you like to jump in? Do you want to, I saw the camera come on. Would you like to tell us what the small meaningful updates, where do you think it, let's say develop our team. Is it more effort or less effort than updates to the websites or collecting feedback?
Developing the team is more effort.
For sure. Sweet, thank you. To Janine then, is delegating content creation going to be higher effort or lower effort than developing the team?
Lower.
Lower than website?
How hard is it for me to delegate, you know?
This is a very important question. Each person, each team is going to answer all of these completely differently. Janine, to the point before, Cade may have zero effort asking for money. That's not me. That's a huge high effort thing. But if Cade's on my team, it's a low effort item.
I would like to delegate asking for money. That
Yeah.
would be very easy.
Perfect. That's the
Thank
one.
you.
So then I'm going to say that it's a little bit lower effort than the website, but maybe a little bit more effort than collecting feedback because we actually have to have a plan first.
Indeed.
So let's come back to me getting licenses. Now, again, this is a me versus the world, terrible learner. Like I am not great at sitting down and checking the boxes and going through the things. So for me, I would say that this is slightly more effort than the updates on the website. Cade, coming back here, instilling better marketing. Where do we think this is in regards to getting a certification? More effort, less effort?
Marketing is pretty comprehensive. I feel like there's a lot of effort that goes into defining your story, what you solve, how it fits into people's goals, and there's a lot in that. And then how do you communicate that effectively across other humans?
Do you think this is more or less effort than developing the team?
I think it's less than developing the team, but I also think it's just a foundational part of understanding what your business is.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right, coming back down to Maddie, having a comprehensive customer journey mapping, understanding how our customers are interacting with us. Is that going to be more or less effort than marketing?
I feel like you need to do that to be able to market accurately.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But that sounds like an importance argument.
yeah. Oh, shoot. Probably, it's probably more important to be able to do that first. You know what I'm saying? I feel like
It is more important. It is one slightly more important, but in terms of the effort that goes into getting it done, do you think it's going to take more effort or less effort than the marketing plan?
probably, I don't know. I'm a new business.
See, I think that actually brings up a good point. For you, that may be a bigger thing. For me, what I see is that you're going to use this. This is part of the marketing plan, and so technically, a part of a bigger thing is less effort because there's less pieces. But yeah, and also you may not need that thing in your business. The customer engagement interaction may not be something you're focused on. So. Thank you for playing. Genevieve, growing the team, hiring more people. Is that more or less effort than doing a customer journey map?
I would say that's more effort.
More effort than marketing?
Well, better marketing, like that is such a vague statement, but I would say in order of effort, it would be the map, growing the team, and then the marketing.
Yeah. That tracks for me. Up there. Coming back to Janine, I'm happy you get this one. Rest more, because this was yours, right? Greens?
Yeah.
Yeah. Rest more and recharge the creative engine. Lesser, more effort than growing the team.
Oh, it should be less.
I appreciate that should. I'll take it. Less than the comprehensive customer journey mapping.
It should also be less than that.
How about the license? This better be less than taking a
Just
class.
all the way
Okay,
down. It's supposed to be almost none, right?
it's probably supposed to be about right here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's be honest with ourselves. Maybe it's a little bit more effort than collecting feedback from members. A little more than building a form. You got to follow up on it. It takes more time.
Yeah. You got to make yourself do it.
Yeah, have to remember to. All right, Kate, we're back on you. God, that's all serendipity's taking care of these today. Let's talk about the effort that's required to ask people for more money. For you, it sounded like this was a lower thing. So let's use this one. Is it more or less energy than resting, or effort than resting?
Mhm. I would say maybe a little more energy than resting.
Mhm.
Because you have to, yeah.
It's more effort than delegation of things we don't know. Probably.
I guess it depends on what your skill set is. If you're great at delegating,
Yeah. Yeah. Or to Janine's point, if the thing you delegated is asking for money, then it may not be that much effort at all. But it may be building the program for them to be able to ask for more money.
yeah, I mean, it also depends on what this is. Like, is it like actually having a sales conversation, or is this figuring out the strat, like what your offer is? Like, is that what do we say? Figure out how to ask people for money is.
You know what? John Michael just hit a really great one in the chat. The initial ask may be easy, but in reality, the number of times we have to follow up may add the complexity of effort too.
Yeah.
So maybe it's about the same as getting a license. Maybe just above there. Maybe I'll just plop it right there. And we now have an idea of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we now have a vague 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry, y'all, I can't count. We now have a very high look at what we could talk about as terms of prioritization. We've got these here, which are our major projects. The things that are going to take the most effort and get the most impact are having better marketing, growing out the team, understanding what our customers are going through, and then figuring out how to actually ask for some more money. We have I love this one. We have our low-hanging fruit, our high impact and low effort. We need to rest more and recharge our engines. And these are the side, because of their high impact, we kind of have to do these things. Moving forward in our business, we know that these are the things that we need to do, but we can take those things and put them on a timeline and be able to say, I'm going to focus on the marketing plan after I've gotten my customer journey. And so you can now not even be thinking about the marketing plan until after you've done the customer journey. But I want to talk about popping some balloons or figuring out what we're going to leave in our car covered up so it doesn't get stolen. Let's talk low effort and low impact first. These are things that, yes, are low effort, but we theoretically said aren't going to make the biggest impression. Asking for feedback from folks, making some small updates to the website, delegating the things we don't know, or getting licensures, that may not have the biggest impact, but it isn't taking the most effort. So these are the things that you could think about, and maybe long term they will add some value. The last group here, though, the high, oh, this makes me really sad to see. High effort and low impact are generally the ones you'd be like, okay, this maybe isn't the time for this thing, or maybe it needs to be completely outsourced, or maybe this needs to be completely scrapped altogether. I see develop our team as a high effort thing with low impact right now, because theoretically this business doesn't have a team, because grow team was one of the things on there. And so I would say this makes perfect sense, not to throw out the window, but to recognize that we're not really going to be able to develop our team until we know who they are, until we've hired them, until we've built out that staff that we're looking for. And so maybe this is an idea that just happens in 6, 8 months rather than the focus of those early ideas sooner. One thing that would go further on still is taking these 10 stickies and plopping them onto the timeline and giving them a space to live, so you have a visual, a picture that says, I'm not going to worry about developing the team until I'm over here, because for right now, I need to focus on growing the team. And so growing the team is my focus on this side. But I do need to figure, oh, sorry, everybody. But I do need to figure out how to ask people for money. So I am going to, please, I'm going to do that first and foremost, because it's got some stuff. And even though it's not going to have the biggest impact, before I start sending people to the website, I need to make some updates to it. But I need to figure out how to rest and recharge. And maybe this thing's going to go a little bit later on. But having, instead of even a list of the things you're going to do, having some sort of visual representation of, here are the things that I can worry about later, to free up your brain space for the things that you need to worry about now, is a huge benefit of going through these activities. Getting those balloons out of your head, freeing up the space for your brain to function, will allow you to do each of these tasks as they are necessary. I want to open it up for any questions that may exist. And then I have just one last thing to share, but I was curious if there's any questions or thoughts as we got to the end of our time here.
Brandon, how do we connect with you if we want to work with you?
Okay. Skip forward to the next slide. Lovely. Thank you for a segue. I'll mention this quickly, whether it be for facilitation or coaching. Facilitation shows up as strategic planning workshops, general meeting facilitation over the recurring meetings, committee meetings, board meetings, or just custom collaboration sessions. You need to accomplish something, we can build out the right session for you. Whether it's one-on-one sessions, where it's the balloon session like we just did right now, or facilitation coaching where you are the face of something already, or just having a collaboration partner. Being a small business owner is lonely. Having someone to think out loud with can really help drive some of these things forward and get some accountability for you. I put at the bottom here my email address and the website. My email address is brandon@bythelb.co, by the pound. and lb.co. Anyway, okay. bythelb.co is our website as well. You can learn a little bit about how Lacey operates on that side, but then at the very bottom, there's a button to click and learn more about what collaboration facilitation looks like with me. Yeah. Thank you, Janine.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for being here today, Brandon, for facilitating the session, and for all y'all who joined us to learn with Brandon and play a little bit. It was really wonderful. Have you all here on our first Thrive session of 2025. Next week at this time, we have a cybersecurity workshop. It promises to be anxiety-free, which is, as you can maybe tell, I have plenty of anxiety already, so I don't need any more about cybersecurity. Perhaps I'll find it relaxing. You can register to attend it the same way that you registered to attend this session. We'd love to have you. And yeah, please stay in touch with ORPEB in all of the usual places.
Thank you, Janine.
You're
I also
welcome.
figured we basically just worked together for an hour, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So I included a link in the chat as well to a little form that you can share about your experience today.
Thanks so much.